firing pin protrusion and primer depth. This customer has an eminence of ours, and has been saying he's been getting misfires. So we measured the energy and lock time. Everything is good there. To check firing pin protrusion, we have this gauge, basically with the action cock that brings everything to headspace. We'll bring that all the way up, right there. That's 4 decimals, okay? So you can see that locks up. So we just hold the trigger and bring the firing pin down with the bolt back, okay? Not forward because that's clearance. Bolt back up against headspace. That's 57 thousandths and 1/10, okay? That's right exactly where we try to put them. 55 to 60, maybe 62. And that is what we found gives the all-around best of all worlds. So we're like, okay, we don't see a problem there. I had him send his brass in. Looks like it's Alpha 308. And I can feel those primers are severely sunk. So we have our handy dandy depth check. We're going to see how far below the face those primers are. So we're going to bring that to 0. All right, so that's the back of the case, and then we're going to go over the primer. Whoa, 10 thousandths below the face. That is a lot. So now, effectively, whatever that number is for the firing pin protrusion, subtract 10 off of it right away. Because that firing pin now has to go 10 thousandths further before it ever starts to engage on that primer. Very, very bad for accuracy. Yes, we can increase that to, let's say, 70 thousandths on that firing pin protrusion, and he won't have any more misfires. But the thing is, it's designed for 250 fall total. Okay, well, let's take 57 off that. Now we're at, let's just round it to 193 thousandths of effective firing pin fall. But now put another 15 thousandths taken off of that. And now we're, 180 thousandths, 175 thousandths to have a neutral close. Now what you can do is we can move our cam system back and give a bunch of cock on close. Right now it's at neutral, right? So you're going to have to make a very notchy action to make this all work. The point is, I don't think this is a brass manufacturer problem. I think guys are either seating their primers insanely deep or they're cutting their primer pockets super far, and it's going to hurt accuracy. Yes, like I said, we can make this fire every time with these primers, but you're going to start moving away from the accuracy portion of how we design this action. So I had them send me 5 pieces. So let's just measure them all here. We'll go there. So there's our 0. 10 thousandths. Let's check another one. 0. There we're at 8 thousandths, 8.5 thousandths. This one. Let's try that again. This one, 0. 9.5, almost 10 thousandths. That is 10 thousandths. That's over 10 thousandths. I mean, you can probably see this. Look at that. You can see that with your naked eye. That's severely deep. Don't do this. This is never going to help accuracy. It's only going to hurt. So I'll contact the customer and they say, what would you like us to do? We can increase that protrusion, no problem. You'll never have any misfires. Or he needs to not cut his pockets so deep or crush the primers so deep. But primers are not designed to be that far below the face. So you can see we've got surface ground bolt after nitride. If I can get that. You see the tip has a nice parabolic shape. And let's check one more. And we've already checked it on the seat, meaning all the way down. It's got 26 pounds, which is more than enough. We've already put it on our energy machine, and it's got about 2 milliseconds of lock time and plenty of energy. So the problem on this is those primer pockets are too deep. And then they'll come back to me and they'll say, well, it fires on my other actions. That may be true. You know, a lot of other action manufacturers give that 70, 80 thousandths, but you're losing effective firing pin energy because it's never going to fall that far. So what happens is all the energy you have stored up, it's never going to go that full distance travel like it's designed to. So to talk more about that deep primer issue, on the left is a brand new 450 CCI. On the right is the one that I carefully extracted out of that case that had one of the cases that had the deep primer. I want you to look at something here. You see this anvil, how it's protruding? See how this doesn't? And you see this right here? That radius, that's from being forced in the bottom of that primer pocket when seating. So now, if we measure, we'll pull these out. Pull that one out there. 109. See if we can get this other one here. There, we got it. 119. So that's crushed. Let's just call it 8 9 thousandths. So then I measured a new Alpha 308 to the customers, both the same depth, right at 120 basically. So it's not from the primer pocket being too deep. The primers are severely being crushed when installed. Guys, gotta stop doing this. This is the second customer I've had in the last 3 months, the same exact issue. So now if we look here, let's look at these primers side by side. Do you see? Come on. Do you see how this one on the right that came from the customer is severely flat? There's no crown left to the corners. That's from way overpressing that primer in there. Way too deep. Way too much force. So anyways, want to get a clarification on what we found, what was wrong with that.